Well, President Biden facing increasing pressure from within his own party to withdraw from the presidential election. For more on this, Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson joining us in studio. Marianne, thank you for being here. Obviously, more than 24 million people tuned in to the NATO press conference. Now, NATO press conferences usually don't get 24 million views. You among them. Of course, we saw a very fiery President Biden last night saying he's not getting out. First, let's start with how you see the race and the president's condition as you watch him.
Well, certainly it's not good for the Democratic Party that internal turmoil is the main phrase used to describe where we are right now. The Republican Party, as you were just showing on your program, is filled with energy, excitement, we're going to win. And the Democratic Party is going through this awful family drama that should have been handled within a week at the most. So the failure here was not just the president's failure.
After the debate.
Yes, not just the debate, but the failure at crisis management. This needs to be handled, and it needs to be handled now. But I also think we need to take a good look at how we got here. We got here because a vital, robust democratic process was suppressed over the last year and a half. There's an elite within the Democratic Party, not that the Republicans don't have it, but the Democratic elite, joined with their media partners, felt that they were entitled to choose Joe. This was the Bro Joe Protection Program. If we had allowed a real conversation, the creative messiness, yes, chaotic messiness, that's democracy itself over the last year and a half, whether it was when Bobby Kennedy was still there, Cenk Uygur, Dean Phillips, myself, we would have been discussing for the last year and a half what makes the Democrats the right people to take it from here. Instead, that was suppressed, and that elite listened to who they should have laughed at and laughed at who they should have listened to.
Were they not being honest, Marianne, about the condition of President Biden?
Well, it's not even about whether they were being honest. What was problematic is that the American people never got to see it. If the president had had to actually campaign in this primary. You know, Thomas Jefferson said, the only safe repository for power is in the hands of the people. Now, I'm not mentioning this because I'm going back. It's because right now, these people that felt that they had the right to choose that it was Joe need to get off their high horses. It is their arrogance and sense of entitlement that put us where we are. They need to not believe that they are entitled to now decide we're going with Kamala or decide we're going with Gavin. The mistake that was made before must be corrected now. And this thing must be opened up. We need to have a blitz primary. We need to have an open convention, which we had for 200 years, and it worked fine.
Well, I want to play to that point on the process. This was Congressman Clyburn, who, as you remember, in South Carolina, he really got Biden. The race turned around for Biden.
I was there, and believe me, I know it.
Here was Clyburn talking about the process.
The conversation should focus on the record of this administration, on the alternative to his election, and let Joe Biden continue to make his own decisions about his future. He's earned that right, and I am going to give him that much respect. If he decides to change his mind later on, then we will respond to that. We have until the 19th of August to open our convention.
So you want an open convention. What does that look like?
Well, first of all, what are we doing here? Are we protecting Joe Biden's feelings, or are we protecting American democracy? This is the conversation that you just showed with Representative Clyburn. Why is this group, and they purport to be the real grown-ups in the room, we need to actually allow the real grown-ups to get in. The real grown-ups in American democracy are whoever the voters decide. So when you say, how does it look? It looks like we get out there. Let myself, I'm already on the ballot, Kamala, Gavin, Dean, whomever, let's get out there. Let's talk to the American people. Let's do over the next 2 months what we were really, in a way, not allowed to do over the last year.
You know, Marianne, you talk about the voters, and the op-ed editorial page of the Washington Post writes this, inciting a Washington Post ABC poll, saying 85% of Americans now say Biden is too old to serve 4 more years as president. According to a Post ABC News Ipsos poll published this week, and 56% of Democrats say he should end his candidacy. So I ask you this, and it continues, but I want to get to the question before we run out of time. Is President Biden fit to continue to serve 4 more months?
Oh, yes, I believe he is, actually. I believe he is fit to serve another 4 months. I do believe that. But that's very different than can he do that and mount the kind of successful campaign that we need, particularly with all this scuttlebutt. We have to put this drama to rest. If we want to win in November, we must put this drama to rest. And the only way to do that is for, and I hope it's happening this weekend, enough people whose voices would matter to the president to be sitting down with him and saying this must stop, and it must stop now.
Last question, I've only got like 10 seconds. Could you support Harris at the top of the ticket?
If the people choose her, if the voters choose her. But if a small group of elite manipulate and engineer and do their shenanigans with the delegates, then I will speak my mind as I always do. Right now, though, I believe in the tenets of the Democratic Party. I believe it's so important that the man who says that climate change is a hoax not return to the White House.
Yep.
That the man who told Mark Esper, couldn't we just shoot those protesters in the feet, not be returned to the White House. That the man who made sure that Roe v. Wade was overturned, not be returned to the White House. We've got to get going.
Well, we shall see where it goes. Marianne Williamson, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Molly?